All right, Josh, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
I'm looking forward to learning about you. So let's start there. Let's start with telling a little bit about who you are, what you do, how you got into it, what drew you to the work that you do today.
All right, hey, Josh Culp. I am a retired military officer. Did 26 years in the military, combination of time in the Louisiana National Guard and the U.S. Army. And then 6 years ago, we started this business that we have now called Hammerdubs. We are a branded merchandise company. So we work with clients such as the NFL, NBA teams, hospitals, universities, and so forth.
Fun. Do you get like behind, do you just get to hang out with the players? Like they invite you to their house? Like what do you have pool parties?
No, this
You personally make their outfits and take them to them? No.
No, I didn't get. We haven't done anything like that, but this year we did get to do. We were on the field for Super Bowl Media Day,
Stop.
so yeah, that was pretty cool. And I wasn't really prepared for the access I was going to have.
Uh-huh.
The NFL recognized four suppliers for the Super Bowl and said, "Hey, come in at this time. You can get field access." I didn't really know that I was going to be on the field during media day. Uh, And if I would have known, I would kind of prepared myself a little
You know,
better
you're
for
gonna
that.
hang out with
Yeah.
Patrick and Travis. I don't even know who else was there
Yeah.
at
Yeah. So I
whoever
was
else.
on the field when the players and stuff started showing up, but
Uh-huh.
it would have been awesome to plan ahead and have a recorder available because there were so many media around
Yeah.
that would have been a great opportunity.
Yeah. Lessons learned. Yeah. So
Lessons
was, I
learned.
mean, what got you in? Was there a pull to athletes and professional sports that was there a reason you went that direction or how did you go? How did you choose that route?
So this business, my wife and I had a previous business, a women's boutique called Hemline.
Hmm.
They have them. They have them in Texas, San Antonio. I don't know if there's one in San Antonio, Texas to Tennessee, in Florida.
Okay.
So we owned one, and we sold a lot of game day apparel, which is real popular in Louisiana, popular everywhere.
Hmm.
Black and gold, purple and gold, nice items. So, but we didn't have anything for the local high school, so we just printed some basic shirts:
Hmm.
green shirt, Eagles; black shirt, Tigers. Just very basic, just to have something to wear to a game. And then I was talking to a friend of mine who was just catching up with him, hadn't talked to him for years, and he was telling me about what he was doing. I told him about the boutique and what we kind of also started doing with the t-shirts, and he explained to me there was a whole industry for that, and I knew there was an industry. I just didn't really know how to get involved with it and how to create a business around it. So 6 years ago, we just started printing some basic t-shirts, and fast forward to August 2025, that kind of led to my military retirement and a new career.
Yeah, well, I like to like flash forward, walk us through that a little bit because that's what you, so many people are kind of like, I have an idea. I don't know the steps. Like, oh, we're kind of making t-shirts, but how do I turn that into a business? How do I turn that into something that will allow me to leave my day job or retire? So what was that process like for you?
Well, it was a lot because that was June of 2019 when I officially started the business, right before we started printing some shirts. And uh, so my wife was running the boutique. At that point of my military career, I knew that my next assignment would take me somewhere else.
Mhm.
So we had to kind of prepare to sell the business. And so we listed the business, got another baby on the way. So we're again kind of getting ready to move locations. Well, COVID happened, and we actually closed on the business that we listed for sale in March of 2020. And COVID happened. I got reassigned to a new position, so I assumed command of a Army battalion that was deploying overseas. So we had the new business. We sold a business. So the current business took off, kind of pretty much stopped because COVID, military job requirements,
Mhm.
deployment in 2021. So the little bit of work I could do over those first 2 years was really, I had a friend that owned the business. Hey, we can do this for you. Kind of just reaching out to friends at a really small scale, learning about the company, and then kind of had my break, or not break, but vision to see where the company could go in 2022 once the deployment was behind me, once COVID was over, the economy was normal again. Uh, and then so 2023 was the breakthrough. 2023 is when I decided that it was time to retire from the military. So I was lieutenant colonel, so my job requirements were only going to get more extensive in the military. Couldn't lead a business at the same time, so we decided it was time to retire. So
Yeah.
it took three years, three close to 4 years, to
Uh-huh.
just slowly building up something uh,
Mm-hmm.
before we could work it full time.
Yeah. Was there a certain set of criteria? Because what you're talking about, this is not uncommon. People wanting to make transitions. And listen,
Mm-hmm.
transitioning out of the military or first responder world in and of itself is often a giant transition for people. But when you think of sort of like taking the leap, right? That
Mm-hmm.
you're going to leave this, retire, and come into entrepreneurship where there's lots of risks. Although like we went to war. Like there's also risks there, friend, right?
Oh yeah.
What was the process that allowed you, or like what was the decision-making process for you? What was there anything that you're like, this needs to be in place and then I'll feel comfortable taking the leap? Did it feel like a leap? Did it feel scary? What was that transition like?
Well, the so my military retirement played a big role into that. To
Uh-huh.
know that there was going to be a supplemental income, a pension right away.
Yeah.
Military retiree insurance uh, is pretty awesome.
Uh-huh.
So I had those two things working for the family to where I knew that there would be an income.
Hmm.
Um, and I knew that if I bet on myself, uh, I say myself then, now we have a team, but at the time it was myself that I wanted to challenge myself and to give my kids something to say I did something other than 26 years in the military. So even though we had a previous successful business with the clothing store for 6, 7 years, uh, I wanted to create a business and bet on myself. And so we had the military retirement, insurance benefits, and then the ability to really say, I need to try this because before it gets too late.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Because if you try it, what was that? What would that mean to you? When you say, I want to bet on myself, and if I do, what's the win there?
It was really more about I didn't want to become 60, 65, and I'm looking at my kids when they're 18 and saying, I wish I would have done this.
Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
want to kind of give them an example to take chances,
Yeah.
take risks, especially early on or
Uh-huh.
in school and high school, and take chances on new things that are interesting to you. So, really wanted to teach them how to take risk by retiring and pursuing a business full time.
Right. Well, yay, you. Congratulations. I have to also ask, because you reference your business partner as your wife. So a lot of times in business, people are like, don't go into business with your friends. So I'm right. Like I get it though. When you're white, when you're with your spouse, you're kind of CEOing life together, right? But how was that did you have any business mentors who were like, partnering with your spouse might not be a great idea? Or was everybody like, this is a brilliant idea. You and your wife are amazing. Go forth.
I don't think we received any advice one way or the other.
Uh-huh.
So when we first started Hemline, my sister was the store manager.
Uh-huh.
She graduated from LSU. She worked at Hemlines in high school and college, and that she was able to step in and run the store for. So it was wife and family
Oh,
involved in the
so it's just a
business.
family-run business, basically.
Yeah,
We're saying,
yeah.
that works. Got it. And I have to also ask, what does Hammerdubs, does that mean something, or where did the name?
Thanks for asking that.
Uh,
So Hammerdubs is a combination of my kids' nicknames. Jack is Hammer and Walt is Dub. And today I actually got the email that we received our trademark for Hammerdubs.
all right.
So like about an hour ago, I got the email that it's confirmed.
It's yours. Okay.
Yeah.
Love Jack Hammer and Walt Dub. Okay, I got
Yeah,
it. Hammerdubs. Love it. Okay, so now I want to hear about Prime because I love a good acronym. And so
yeah.
Prime about this is the values that your business is built on. So tell us about this.
Okay, so the prime is our business's core values. And before I tell you what they are, I'll kind of let you know how they came about.
Yeah.
Uh, when we got ready to hire our first employee that wasn't a virtual assistant or somebody that is set on the team here locally,
Hmm.
we talked about what I believe in, what I want the company to achieve. Uh, what are the things that were important to me, uh, and essentially laid out the values.
Hmm.
And we didn't have anything written down at the time, but once Kristen got on board, you know, she presented a bunch of ideas. I think the second or third interview we had, I was like, well, this is fantastic. Somebody presenting things that you don't have to develop and implement on your own. And one of them was coming up with core values.
Hmm.
So we knew kind of what we wanted to do, and so we came up with Prime. So the P stands for purpose. We are a veteran-owned company that we want to do things within our community, whether it's sponsoring events, bringing awareness. We want to be a community asset. I is integrity. Integrity is big in the military. Integrity is big, should be big in every business. So we want to work hard to do right by our clients.
Hmm.
Um, M is mission of excellence.
Hmm.
So within every transaction we do with the business, we look at it and say, how could we do better?
Hmm.
Try not to make that mistake the second time.
Hmm.
And document it and talk about it, and just constantly moving that needle in every way that represents your business, whether it's your business card. Do you have a flimsy one, or do you have a thick one that somebody's like, well, this is nice?
Uh-huh.
Somebody told us that today on a sales meeting, and you see that all those little things do matter.
Hmm.
PRIME. And then the E is for empower. So we want to empower our clients to use branded merchandise in a way to reach their clients, reach their employees, market their company. And those are the prime values. PRIME. Yeah.
Yeah. Will you tell me what R is? I think we skipped that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Resourceful.
Ah.
So in our industry, we want to be more than you go to our website, go to hammerdubs.com, and I find a cup. I want my cup. I want to put my logo on it, and they give me a price.
Mhm.
So we work to develop relationship with our clients to really understand what the needs are.
Mhm.
Do you really need a cup? Do you
Mhm.
need something else based on your industry, your needs, and so forth? And we work to provide those requirements to you or recommendations.
Uh-huh.
And also part of resourceful is how do we provide products or how do we provide products and marketing things to our clients that fits their requirements, budget, time, branding requirements, all the different resources or requirements that they have.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
in the
now,
clinical world, we call that client centered. Yeah, yeah, we got
that,
the full fry. PRIME. Yeah, that's great. Do you find are there any of those areas where are any one of those values that feel uh like harder to lean into or like where you find like I was when you were talking about the mission of excellence, right? What I thought of when you said that was something I had an old colleague would say is make 1,000 mistakes, just don't make the same mistake 1,000 times, right?
mhm,
So a mission of excellence, I think of the iterative nature of that. Like there's like a willingness of, okay, I'm gonna go for it then, and I'm willing to continuously improve it, which can be hard for some people when they're like, I want to get an A+ the first time. So
yeah.
I was just curious if there's any of these that feel like challenges or stretches for you guys personally as you try to implement them.
Well, I think the mission of excellence one to me is my most challenging in a way that learning when to take an initiative.
Hmm.
Okay. So it's one thing to always want to improve, but you only have so much time in the day.
Uh-huh.
Everybody else only has so much time in a day. And if you're constantly, uh, I found that in the military, if you're constantly implementing an initiative, implementing something new, and just constantly doing things, you can't even really understand what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So a small team like ours, we have to fail or not perform in the manner we would sometimes, just to know what we need to improve.
Yeah.
Um, I have a whiteboard in front of me, and when we have our meetings, our weekly meetings, we talk about the initiatives that we have and make sure we have a priority, ones that we need to be excellent in right
Uh-huh.
now. And then once you do those some of the other ones may just go away.
Yeah.
So the mission of excellence for me that's challenging is knowing when to apply that and when to take on new initiatives. So you're still moving the organization forward.
Yeah. I think
Does
what you
that
said
make
there, what like there are some that we're excellent in right now, right? Like to
sense?
your point, you can't, usually most of us who are in human flesh suits
Yeah.
cannot be excellent at everything. Like I work with a lot of people who are like, they were walking around with a belief of I have to be 100% of the time in 100% of the categories in my life.
Mhm.
Right. And what I hear you hitting on is we focus. There are some areas that we are working on excellence, and that means there are other areas where we are not working
That's
on
right.
excellence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You're just trying to figure out where you have the margin to accept some risk
mhm.
and try to be as excellent as you can in that.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned as you were talking about that, you referenced the military. So how else, you spent 26 years in the military, right? Obviously, there's going to be some influence. How has that experience shaped the way that you approach life, leadership, business, and you were just kind of talking about failure and mistakes. How does that impact the way that you think about failures and mistakes?
Well, um, so the military is a complicated beast organization, but it was the best thing that I ever did professionally, because you are exposed to people from around the world, situations that you couldn't really explain to people, and it doesn't really have to be a situation, a life and death scenario in the Middle East. I mean, it could be something on a random Tuesday afternoon when you're not doing a basic, a complicated training mission. Just there are so many, especially if you're in a leadership role, there's so many different things coming at you that allow you in the civilian world or leading a business to be used to doing multiple things at a time. And and so that has significantly carried over. But I had some bad habits that I learned in the military, talking about initiative, learning when to take initiative, when to apply initiative. And so, if you're leading an organization, you're constantly wanting to get better. People are always wanting you to get better, and there's all these goals and objectives that you got to try to achieve, and sometimes you can't do them all.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of times you can't do them all. A lot of times you can only do one thing, and so learning how to prioritize, creating a company and being the founder and trying to define and head in a direction that you want to go. I don't think I could have done that without being in the military.
Yeah. You kind of mentioned a bad habit. What, tell us the dirty laundry, Josh. What's the bad habit you had to unlearn?
Well, the trying to do everything is one,
Uh-huh.
because you have a large team of people.
Uh-huh.
When I commanded a battalion overseas, I would have anywhere between 800 to 1,200 people.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying, why can't we do this mission, or we should be able to accomplish all of these things that our command is requiring us to do, or we should be able to shoot our weapons in this manner.
Mm.
So that's trying to not try to do everything.
Uh-huh.
Um, what's another bad habit? I mean, if you had anybody that I worked with, they would probably fill up the segment with.
They're like, get a pin, ma'am.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
when I moved from what the Army calls as a company grade officer to a field grade officer. So that is when when you get promoted from captain to major,
Mhm.
I had a difficult time understanding how to delegate.
Mm.
Um, a major, you're leading you're a senior leader. You're leading uh, other men and women who may be older than you,
Mhm.
who've probably been in the military longer than you, but you're leading other officers, senior sergeants. So you're leading a section of really experienced people, and sometimes there's an urge to show that you understand what you're doing and that you're capable of doing the job and
Mhm.
not delegating in the right manner.
Mhm.
Which overall, it's good intentions,
Mhm.
because at least you're not laid back with your feet kicked up and letting everybody else do all the work. But um, everything delegating what should be delegated and working on the things at my level and up that I should be working on again. And that's with the business. And
Right.
so when you grow a team, it's okay, as a role of a founder, what should I be working on and what should my operations, sales, and production team be working on?
Mhm.
Trying to learn those, apply those bad principles of those bad habits I had.
Uh-huh. Is there anything that and there probably were several things, but something that helped you let go a little bit and allowed you to delegate more? What is one thing that helped you shift that?
In the military or now?
Now.
Well, you can't grow if you're not delegating.
Uh-huh.
And so there had, listened to a lot of books and podcasts and read a lot, and then
Uh-huh.
so really trying to learn how to delegate
Uh-huh.
in the right manner that is appropriate to that task has been a key to me, has been
Yeah.
key. And what I mean by that is you can have a task that you need to do, you need to get done, uh, and if the how much training do they have related to that? So am I going to delegate my social media manager a task to reconcile my financial statement, review my financial statement?
Right.
I could, and uh, probably don't need to, but I may be more willing to delegate. Hey, just let's come up with some posts, some content. I don't want to give you too much guidance because I don't want to steer you one way or the other.
Uh-huh.
But let's see what you have. Let's see, delegate and allow them to come up with some things.
Yeah. I think for some people they struggle with delegation because there's like a loss. There's a perceived loss, right? Like I'm letting go of something. And anytime we say that word letting go, people are like like they get very hard, like letting go
Mhm.
of things. But sometimes we miss the gain, right? Like yeah,
Yeah,
you might be losing something, control or perceived control over something, but the upside is there's so much to gain. And that's what I hear you sound like you negotiate, well, yeah, what's the potential gain here and does that outweigh
yeah.
the perceived loss. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
there's
Oh,
the
good.
part about delegation where you're trying to make sure you're not overworking people. And it's
Right.
like if I have the time to do it, maybe I can do it. But if I don't need to do it and the other person can't do it, maybe it's time to hire somebody else.
Right.
And so the delegation's an art.
Uh-huh. Arts and crafts over here in the business world. But it really is, it's a lot. And I think that's what's so hard for people. Well, I guess I'll speak from the I. For those of us who have perfectionist tendencies and we like a really nice formula, step
Yeah.
1 + 2 = 3, and it's very linear and nice. But what happens in business is it is an art, not a science, right? Like
Yeah.
it is a trial and error. You're pulling this lever over here, see what happens, and willing to adjust here. And delegation is a beautiful example of that. I wanted to talk. I know that you're writing a book about the 10 lessons that you learned in the military. We're just going to put it out there. And then Josh is like, I really have to actually finish this book then because we are in process. And I get it. I just, for listeners may or may not know, but I know it's been on my social. I also am in the process. Like my book is in formatting form, Joshua. So I know that I know the angst and I know the process of getting words out into a book form. So that in and of itself just deserves a round of applause. But this book that you're writing is about the lessons learned in the military, and so I would love to hear like 1, 2, 5, whatever, but just maybe what you would see as one of those lessons that you think that every person, every entrepreneur, easy for me to say, entrepreneur, every leader needs to hear?
Well, can I give the backstory on the book real quick?
Absolutely. Tell me everything.
So we don't have a title, but my first goal was to 10 chapters, 100 pages. And I was like, okay, 10 pages a chapter. So the first goal was to write 100 pages, just get thoughts down on a document
Hmm.
instead of trying to perfect it, instead of having writer's block. So I got these 100 pages done. I literally had a spreadsheet with all the sales, and if I wrote a page that day, I would check the blog. And then just so I wanted a visual of getting that done.
Hmm.
And then I was listening to a podcast one day, and this book editor was on there. Actually, it was a ghostwriter. And so I reached out to him and said, "Hey, I got a book. I'm about to retire from the military. I need some help." And I sent it to him. He gave me some uh, little feedback, encouragement, and so I signed him to be the editor and sent him the stuff. And then his edits back to me were almost as long as my book, which was good
Uh-huh.
because I knew he read it, and I knew that he took his time, and I knew that uh, he pretty much did what he was paid for, and he put a lot of effort into it. So his major feedback to me was that I need to tell more of my story.
Mm.
Because you read a lot of books and people share lessons from Bill Gates and all these historical figures, and anybody can research that stuff. But when I go to think about things that I learned were not from those historical figures, it was from a businessman in Mississippi that I've never even heard of before, or somebody,
Mhm.
some coach over here that isn't in the Hall of Fame. So
Mhm.
going back through the chapters and telling my story on those individual topics. And so think I'm 3 chapters into the final edit.
Mhm.
And so that's where we are.
Well, congrats. That's
Yeah.
again, I that editing process, it'll hurt your feelings. It'll hurt your feelings. Uh, and I think that in and of itself, what the ghostwriter gave you feedback on, that's a lesson in and of itself, right? Is that yes, there's value in the theoretical, there's value in the research evidence-based data that we
Mm-hmm.
learn. There's also value in experiential learning. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what people connect to, right? Is a lot of our story. So we'll be
And then,
looking forward to your story being in there, sir.
and then my main motivation with the book, I was talking to a friend the other day about this. It's not to sell the books. It's not to market me for my business. It's the sole purpose is to provide a document to my 2 boys. And so
Mm-hmm.
um, to where at any given time they can have something that they can reference based on my time in the military. And so I've combined some things I've learned in business since 2013, but the majority of it's military stories, military experience that hopefully they can apply to their life at some point.
Yeah. So this might be an unfair question then, right? Where you're like, these are the lessons I want to impart on my boys. Is there one in particular that if you're like, all right, kids, if you miss everything else, here's the thing that I really want to make sure you take away.
Um, so I think the chapter that I'm talking about, um, having a mindset of a victor or knowing you can win, is pretty significant. Because if I think you could take all 10 things and impact they could impact their life in one way. But I think if you know that you can always win and just little things to move forward, and I'll give some examples in the book that that'll set you up for success.
Yeah. Listen, as a mindset coach, right? I tend to think that your thoughts create your results. So that is not something to be missed. Like it seems like something sort of small, like knowing you can win. Like that's easy to say, but
Mm-hmm.
actually building belief, that's the difference between giving up and continuing. That's the difference, right? From tenacity and hopelessness, right? So that's some of my take on it. But what for, I mean, obviously you've had a lot of different experiences with that concept mindset of a victor. But what's been, I mean, maybe there's one or several, but something where you've had to really leverage that knowing, like unwillingness to give up on the belief that I know I can win, I know I can figure this out, I know I can get through it. What's a standout moment of that?
So I share a story in the book about a time it was 2005. I guess I was 24 at the time. And I started Army Ranger School. So it was right before my unit was deploying, and I shipped to Ranger School. And while I was there, there's this image that somebody thinks of when they hear the term Army Ranger, and then so I got, had to go through these courses to get selected to go, and I got selected to go, and I show up, and I'm like, am I really supposed to be here?
Army Ranger, like David Goggins. I mean, I know he was not Army Ranger, but is this the image that people get when they think of
Well,
Army Ranger?
he did go to Ranger School.
Uh-huh.
He was a SEAL.
Yeah.
He did go to Ranger School, and he talks about that in his book.
Yeah.
But yeah, people think of a commercial of a military person, you
Uh-huh.
know, and so these warriors and things that that image has earned. And so
Uh-huh.
when I got there, I was like, "Am I really supposed to be here?"
Uh-huh.
I was around Navy SEALs. I was around soldiers that were Army Rangers. I was around Marines. You know, you're kind of like, "Am I really supposed to be here?"
Uh-huh.
So you kind of battle. I kind of battled imposter syndrome a little bit. I wasn't. I found out I wasn't as prepared as I should have been when I got there. Uh, had to retake some of the classes a couple times, and then you're like, man, here we go. Yeah, that imposter syndrome setting in. I'm not. Had to redo some things. Ended up staying longer than I should have. It's only supposed to be 62 days, but I had to redo a couple phases. So when that second time I had to redo something, I was like, man, this is just. I should have left a long time ago. I should have never got here. This, that, and the other. Anyway, stayed with it, stuck through it, stayed way longer than I wanted to. But that was kind of my little point where I've applied lessons like I doubt I'm ever going to be colder. I doubt I'm ever going to be more hungry. I'm never going to be that tired again.
Uh-huh.
And whatever I've got going on that day, I can move through it
Uh-huh.
because I didn't quit in 2005 and 6.
Yeah.
And that has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
So
Because what happens on the other side of that? When you do that thing that you're like, I have no reason to believe that I can do it, and look what I just did. Like,
yeah,
then on the other side, you're like, nothing. This is why I wrote a freaking book, Josh, because they talked to me the day before I was running a marathon. And I was like, I'm not an author. I don't want to do that. That sounds like I can't do that. I went and ran a marathon. I'm like, who? You can't tell me nothing. I just ran 26.2 miles without stopping or walking. I can write a book. I'm an author, right? This is what happens when you
mhm,
do stuff that you're like, this is hard. I didn't give up. And then I find out I didn't die. And then you're like, well, what else was I wrong about? Where
that's
else was
right.
I telling myself I couldn't do something? And you're like, hold my beer. I'm about to go show
Yes.
something. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that goes kind of ties into, wanting to bet on myself, leaving the
Yeah.
military,
Yeah.
uh, start, pursue the business full time.
Yeah.
And so it's like if you can not quit once,
Yeah.
regardless of how difficult the
Yeah.
thing is or how minor it may be,
Mhm.
well, you may end up liking it more than you thought you were going to, or become really good at it. And then you move on to the next thing and you do something else. And then, so just, I think that process of uh, always moving forward in a way and not quitting something that may be inconvenient at the time or real difficult, real challenging.
Yeah.
It's just a lesson that you can always apply.
Yeah, that's a really, listen, here's the thing. When people, again, people come to me, they're like trying to change their lives, they're trying to do something, they're going after big goals. And a lot of people think there's like some big, sexy, sophisticated thing. But what it
Mm-hmm.
usually is something very simple like, hey, keep not quitting.
Yes, right. Yeah, just
Right? It's just
one more step.
the day I didn't quit the Army Rangers training. Got it. Got me to day two. And it's right, it's that kind of stuff that gives you the chutzpah that you're like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
not glamour, success and the big wins. It's not shiny on
Yeah.
Tuesdays at 2 p.m. when you're just not quitting. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, I
That's
think that's actually a real big deal. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and this is so unfair. Usually I tell my guests this beforehand, but Josh, I did not tell you what my last question is going to be. But before I ask you my last question that I ask all my guests, I want you to tell us where the listeners can find you and follow along with your work. The last question, just preview, is what does it mean to you to live an unblocked life? So while you're telling us where the listeners can find you, you can also be multitasking with that military 26 years of service brain that can multitask and be coming up with the answer to that question. But
well, you can find us on social media at Hammerdubs. So HAMMERDUBS.
all one
You
word.
type that in, it'll take you to Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. It'll take you to our website. We have it trademarked. It's nowhere else out there. So hammerdubs.com. That's how you can find us.
Got it. That will be in the show notes for listeners to catch on or to grab up. So, for my very last question, Josh, what does it mean to you to live an unblocked life?
I think that I wish there was something that I wish I'd have learned this earlier, and it's something to try to impart on my kids is that you're really your own limitation.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's whatever it is that you want to achieve, well, I mean, you can visualize it, but you have to put in some type of effort into it
Mm-hmm.
consistently. So you can't just manifest everything, but thinking about and visualizing what you want to achieve is important too. So if you can combine that action, you have a vision, and you know where you want to go, I think that's pretty unblocked.
100%. Yeah, I just had a client today say, the only thing standing in the way of me and my goal is a story I'm telling myself, and I
Yeah,
have the power to change that story.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, like you're your own limitation. And the flip side of that is, and you're your liberator. Like you are the one holding the key to your jail cell, but you're the one holding the key to your jail cell. So you can let
Mhm.
yourself out. Yeah. Love that. Well, I appreciate your time and wisdom and sharing your experience with us today, Josh. I think the listeners are going to get a lot out of this. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah.